Welcome, dear participants. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is my pleasure as member of the One Planet City team to welcome you to another edition of the One Planet City Challenge, and particularly to this first OPCC webinar, the first one of the series that will take place during this 2019-2020 cycle. My name is Tabaria Arroyo Curras. I'm a member of the group. I'm a member of the One Planet Cities team, and I will be honored to host this webinar today. So today we're gonna embrace a journey towards the One Planet City Challenge with the aim of learning what is this OPCC and why it's so fundamental that you all participate. Today we have a great invitee that will guide us in this tour, and this is Dr. Jennifer Lenhart, the global lead of the One Planet Cities team. Welcome, Jenny.
Hello, nice to see you all on the call.
Perfect. Today, I have the pleasure to interview you, Jenny, and I hope we can cover a couple of questions that probably are in the mind of our participants. Questions such as what is OPCC, what is new about OPCC, and how people can participate. So today we're having a Q&A webinar. I'm gonna be asking some questions, and hopefully, Jenny, you will be able to help me answering those. Before starting, there are a couple of things that I would like to mention as housekeeping rules. I will appreciate if all participants could make sure their microphones off in case I have not muted you already. Second thing is that it will be super good if you could use the chat box to submit your questions, so then we can cover them at the end of this webinar. And finally, to remind you that this session for quality purposes is being recorded. So without further delay, Jenny, again, thanks very much for being in this webinar, for allowing us to interview you. It's very cool that you are here. So, OPCC has been there for a long time. Many things have happened in the past, but maybe you can help us a bit. What is this OPCC thing?
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tabare, and thank you for coordinating this really interesting and hopefully engaging call to explain to you what is the OPCC. In essence, what is the One Planet City Challenge? For those of us who are working with it regularly, we go by OPCC. The One Planet City Challenge started in 2011 and has since engaged more than 400 cities across the globe. And these are cities that are really, pushing towards strong climate action, taking up their particular role to be part of the larger push towards stronger climate action. The One Planet City Challenge is the longest and largest running challenge of its kind, and we're very proud at WWF to be working with cities to push for stronger climate efforts, certainly doing this also in partnership, as we have our motto at WWF is together possible. So we're very excited to have you on this call today and to talk about how we can work with cities to speed up their climate action.
Perfect, Jenny, that's very useful. So maybe you can elaborate a bit more on the story of OPCC. Why is this so relevant? I mean, sure. why we are inviting people to be part of OPCC?
Sure. Well, firstly, the OPCC, just if I could back up slightly, and I want to make sure that you know that it's a biannual challenge. So it's happening every 2 years. So the last one was in 2017, 2018, and now we're kicking forward in the 2019-2020 cycle. And why is this important? Well, the Paris Agreement itself has really refocused climate agenda around the world. This has created new momentum among countries, among new actors, and certainly among cities. And the role of cities is in particular interesting because, well, credit goes to a lot of the fantastic city networks that we work with. The Global Covenant of Mayors, ICLE, Local Governments for Sustainability, C40, all of these organizations are together driving stronger climate action. And what is the role and why the OPCC? Well, the One Planet City Challenge is working towards supporting cities now. this time with aligning with the Paris Agreement targets and 1.5 degrees of maximum global warming. So we're working with these different city networks to help push cities to meet that mark in their individual cities. In the same time, by joining the One Planet City Challenge, you can really demonstrate the leadership that your city wants to take to support stronger climate action. It's about accountability and transparency and showing that your city is ready to highlight to the world its actions on climate change and compare among cities, among your peer cities. And for those everyone that joins the One Planet City Challenge will be part of the Panda community in this role. We will all cities that join will be receiving support and 1.5 alignment. We'll explain that a little bit later. But of course, there's also the opportunity for some cities to shine a little bit stronger as extra leaders at the national and global level. I think that's what I wanted to say there, Tabare. Back to you.
Great, Lenny. So I was listening to you. You mentioned accountability, transparency, and support to cities. So that's very interesting. That's very cool that the OPCC can do that. But I was wondering, is there any benefit that you would like to highlight from a city's perspective? I mean, is there what do cities participating in this get out of OPCC?
Sure. So what are the benefits? Definitely. This is extremely important for cities that do join us on this journey. Well, I think the very first thing, and this is extremely exciting and new for this year, when cities join the One Planet City Challenge, they will be assessed on how their climate commitments align with the Paris Agreement and the 1.5 degrees Celsius maximum global warming target. So this is basically if nation states come together and agree in Paris to keep global warming well below 2 degrees, what does that actually mean in your city? How does your city contribute to the Paris Agreement? So by joining the One Planet City Challenge and doing your data reporting, we will then assess to see where you are on meeting that mark in your individual city. This is the biggest benefit from joining the OPCC. You will also, your city will receive big win impact reduction guidance on how to really reduce climate mitigation actions in your city, as well as adaptations, certainly. There will be tools to support efforts related to, for example, energy and buildings and what can your city government do, and also working with stakeholders on this particular effort. In addition, WWF, through the power of the panda, as we like to call it, we really want to help cities shine. So we want to, bring you into the materials that we're producing. We want to look at cities with solutions. We have a whole platform called City Solutions, where we have different materials that we look at what are those really strong cities and how can we highlight the strong things that they're doing on these different sectors. We will be promoting cities that join us on our social media channels. We will be working with press releases for the different stages of the One Planet City Challenge to flag the great things that cities are doing. And the final benefit that I want to say is when your city decides to join the One Planet City Challenge, it's also about showing your citizens that climate change matters to your local government and why it should matter to them.
Thanks, Jenny. I am laughing because all this OPCC is about climate efforts in cities, and me being based in Mexico City, well, I do not only acknowledge this is so important, particularly from the point of view of how we can reduce emissions, but also probably have heard that there's a huge traffic out there, and you see all the cars horning their how do you call that? Their buffers right now. So in advance, I apologize for additional noise. I'm looking at the screen now, and I see OPCC, One Planet City Challenge, an acronym. And then I was thinking, so how many images are related or can connect to OPCC? So how many worldviews we have inside OPCC? So then I have a little surprise for you, Jenny. I was thinking that maybe our participants will be benefited from seeing some of those images of OPCC. being displayed. So what about having a quick video of what is One Planet City Challenge?
Great. Well, the One Planet City Challenge is basically a challenge to see cities move beyond what they're already doing to address climate change and to go even further.
4 system transitions that will enable a 1.5 and climate-safe future. Critically, cities, urban areas is one of them. There is no possible route forward of 1.5 without action in and by our cities. WWF and the One Planet City Challenge has risen to this task and has changed and adopted its process going forward next year so that it is in line with 1.5.
We should recognize the importance of the One Planet City Challenge. By working with cities, we can do 3 things. Have them understanding their emissions and how to face it. Second, how to halve emission by 2030. And third, how they could define adaptation plans to protect their own citizens and their own places.
It's also a challenge among cities to really incentivize a friendly competition for cities to outgreen each other, to really show what they're doing. It is a challenge to reward the cities that are really doing, implementing holistic and far-reaching climate action plans, both nationally but also internationally.
Uppsala's climate targets are to become fossil fuel free by 2030 and then move on to climate positive by 2050. We work hard together with all local stakeholders in a local Paris Agreement. Now, let's join together for a climate positive world.
I think the challenge is really a possibility for the city to share what they are doing, to copy best practices of the cities all around the world, and it's another way for our cities to link together. Tackling climate change is possible.
For Mexico City to have won the City Challenge in 2014 was very important because obviously it's an international recognition. They say that when you do something in Mexico City, in Sao Paulo, in Beijing, then it's practically doable anywhere.
We know really good examples are out there, and we are keen to see those cities share what they're doing, and we want to help get their messages across to a wider audience.
Perfect. Great video, Jenny. I was thinking the OPCC, a movement that transforms local action into global climate leadership. That's very cool about this, I think, and probably our participants appreciate that as well. So far, I think we have discussed about what the OPCC is about, why the One Planet City Challenge is so relevant, and what cities can get out of this by participating. But as we said at the beginning, and I think you mentioned it, Jenny, this has been there for some time already, probably since 2011, maybe before that. So I was wondering, maybe you could tell us a bit more about the new things of the OPCC for this 2019 and 2020 cycle. So basically, what comes new, what is fresh in this new OPCC? Jenny, just give me a second. It looks to me that you are muted. Sorry for this. Now you should be able to speak.
Yes. Sorry, we were talking about urban noise and urban traffic, so I muted myself, and then I got stuck on mute. But what is new in the OPCC, the One Planet City Challenge? Well, I think for the last few years, we've been doing this process, and we've had more and more cities interested and more momentum in the way going forward. But we've also identified some barriers to the process. And I think the first one is that cities really want to have strong climate actions, but they need to understand what that actually means. So cities need to align with the Paris Agreement targets and 1.5 degrees. They also need to know what is their fair share, what is relevant in their particular context. Cities also need to understand better about what it means to develop and implement integrated economic and sustainable development plans and how those also align with climate change. And we need to talk about not just actions, but impact. What do those collective actions mean, or the individual actions? Some actions that cities take have lots more impact than others. So by moving forward, we've redesigned our assessment framework to support cities in this. In particular, we will be working with science-based commitments to tackle climate change. We're also looking at how climate planning now influences future decision-making. And we also want to talk about giving cities really action-oriented feedback for this. And just to kind of move forward on some of this, when we talk about these new ideas within the OPCC, we like to call it the Trinity here. So how do we move forward in a very communicative and pragmatic and strong way? I think in addition to having the science-based approach, so we use the, I think most of you have probably heard of the IPCC report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report, and on how we can still meet that climate target of 1.5 degree alignment and the actual consequences if we don't get there. Well, with knowing that in mind, we're also trying to look and support the evaluation of cities in their climate action plans. So to make sure that what they want to do on mitigation to reduce emissions is also really meeting the major emission sectors in their city. The adaptation actions that a city is taking, do these map effectively with the climate risks that are existing in a particular city? And then we want to look forward. How do we support, what kind of opportunities are there to accelerate climate action? And really focus on those most impactful actions that can support a city towards moving towards a climate-friendly future. And I think, you know, oh, sorry, go back to you. No, I was just going to say, you know, more about what is new in the OPCC and how to do that will be also addressed in future webinars. So if you didn't get everything here now, it's a lot of new and exciting ideas. We will continue to talk about this in the next steps.
Perfect. So more webinars for people to join. Excellent. You mentioned three things, and I think it's very, very useful. We talk about the new things on OPCC. We talk about a method to align to 1.5. We talk about a new evaluation framework to emphasize evidence-based climate action planning. And you also highlight the new approach to provide tailor-made action-oriented feedback. Now, I was thinking how these elements are embedded in the OPCC. To some extent, my question will be, what is the process for the OPCC?
Sure. Okay, well, stage one, I think yes, excellent. Stage one, where we are about to be now, is the submitting of city data. That will kickstart in early April, and it will go until middle July, and we'll come to those exact deadlines and dates in a little bit. But first, we really need cities to do their data reporting. This is essential for everything else that we're going to do. If we're going to be doing a screening to see how close your city is in aligning with 1.5, we do need that data in order to get there. After you do your city data reporting, then WWF and a consultant we have hired will do assess that data and how it aligns with 1.5 and offer your city guidance in order to develop and implement big win climate actions. Thereafter, up to 3 cities per country will be shortlisted and they will go forward to a jury process for finalists. And 3 cities per country will be assessed by an international expert jury. And in our jury, we have leading scientists, we have several key persons from different UN agencies, for example, the Deputy Executive Director of United Nations Habitat, World Bank, several of the development banks. So they will be looking at the strong things that your city is doing And they will decide on one national winner per country, and then later one global winner. And then all of those national winners and the global winner will be together celebrated in an international award ceremony, recognizing these strong climate leaders at different national and global levels. That is all about engagement of the local government in this whole process. But we know that we won't meet our climate ambitions without working with people. And this is something that WWF is very excited about. And we have something that we offer to up to 3 shortlisted cities per country. And that's called the We Love Cities campaign. And the We Love Cities campaign, maybe I should allow you to ask me that question first. I'm getting too excited about it.
Jenny, please tell us, what is Love Cities campaign?
Yes, so what is the We Love Cities campaign? Well, we had a fantastic campaign last year, and I got so excited I started talking about it before the question even came. But in 2018, this campaign ran in 50 cities on 5 continents. And this was for the finalist cities or the shortlisted cities. These cities can opt in if they want to join into this campaign. This is a campaign that is WWF endorsed, but run by the cities. And the success really depends on the cooperation between WWF and the city. But in the last run, we had over 100 million people that were reached in this campaign on social media. And it's about voting for your city, endorsing your city, saying, yes, I think this city is doing great, but it's also about giving suggestions on how your city could be even better. And what to me is very exciting is we've seen a very strong online campaign to show the growth of this interest and how citizens around the world are interested in working with cities and improving sustainability in cities. But what has also been very impactful is the actions on the ground. So cities in Peru, I'm not going to highlight which ones here, but maybe you're on the call doing beach cleanups. Same thing in Vietnam or in cities in India doing cycling campaigns to connect air quality issues and climate change. So not only are we seeing great ideas coming in on a global platform online, but we're seeing citizens and local governments get together and do things offline as well. And this is where we see that the impact is just starting and the momentum is going forward, especially looking at how we move forward with the local government actions and the students that are getting really excited about climate change in cities across the globe as well.
Great, Jenny. I understand we have a website for We Love Cities. I'm gonna show it on screen. I think there's a lot of valuable information, maybe for participants. Really welcome to visit this website. You can actually, let me see if I can put it. I think we can. Yeah, there you go. I think there are many interesting stories if you log into this website. You can see where the campaign has taken place before. You can see what is that tweet tag and share that we promote in this campaign. And well, you can have a lot of interesting facts about the campaign, including the results, statistics, etc. So I think very, very interesting for people to come to this website, and welcome everyone to visit it at www.welovecities.org. Jenny, I think we have a very good coverage of what is the OPCC, and we are reaching the final stretch of this webinar. Probably there are a couple of questions that still remain in our participants' minds. Very likely those related to who can participate, how that the process takes place, and what next steps. So maybe we can start with some ideas of who can participate. Maybe you can tell us a bit of cities that have participated in the past or their previous winners, etc. So over back to you, Jenny.
Excellent. Thanks, Tabade. And I just wanted to flag that we have a very good question in the chat box, which I think we can address at the end of this call. But who can participate? Well, this is open to cities in participating countries right now. And before we go forward onto that process, maybe can you go to the next slide and we can show some of our past global winners? Excellent. So this the One Planet City Challenge is open to cities across the globe. Currently, at this time, in roughly 30 countries, and we're pushing to hopefully have even more countries. But it's open to these, all cities can do their data reporting. And this is actually even outside of the work that WWF is doing. We are working with leading city networks, and we're very excited to see that several of the important data platforms have merged. That will come in a moment, but so all cities can do their data reporting. And then regarding just what are some of the stronger cities that we've worked with in the past, and how do those cities offer us inspiration? Here, I just wanted to show you that we have had global winners coming from 5 different countries on several different continents in Asia, Africa, Europe, and North America so far, and we'll see who is our next global winner. Stay tuned, maybe one of your cities. But these are all cities that are offering very inspirational examples of climate change leadership, whether it's addressing energy issues or transportation issues, or really focusing on engaging their citizens at the core of pushing for stronger climate action. So if we could go just to the next slide, please, and a little bit on who can participate. Well, the first thing to do is to let us know that you're interested. So send us an email at opcc@wwf.se. This is the One Planet City Challenge is run by the Swedish office of WWF, and that's why it's .se and not .org. So please do write us at opcc at wwf.se. I'm sorry, we are the coordinating office, but many offices are involved. And that way we can put you in touch with the national contact, and they can give you more information as well. Then certainly join this webinar series. Today we kicked it off with this question and answer session here, but there will be a whole host of webinars that build on each other and explain what is 1.5 degree alignment in cities, how is WWF working with key networks and other partners to do this. And if you want to find out more about those webinars, you have to join or send a message to the same email, opcc@wwf.se. Then you need to register on the CDP Cities platform. And this is new this year since before. And I know we have several friends and colleagues from the City Network ICLE joining in here. And the ICLE Carbon Climate Registry and the CDP platform have merged. So now this will make it much easier for cities to do their data reporting onto one platform. So just to highlight that. And all of your data reporting has to be submitted by the 10th of July. And this is a little bit earlier than it has been in the past, but we're hoping that the new excitement and momentum and the different engagement of different partners will help your city to do this and do it on time. And by doing that, then we will be able to use your data to assess how close it is with 1.5 alignment.
Thanks, Jenny. You talk about registration and the merge of different platforms. Maybe you can elaborate a bit more on this?
Sure. Excellent. I'm happy to do so. So firstly, when you do your data reporting, I want to just also highlight that we've worked very hard at WWF together with leading city networks, as well as the Global Covenant of Mayors, so that when you do your data reporting, it aligns with the data reporting commitments of the Global Covenant of Mayors. So if your city is already a part of the Global Covenant of Mayors or wants to be, doing your data reporting for the One Planet City Challenge will also support your city to do the data reporting for the GCOM, as we call it. Some of the things that you will need to do to report include targets and commitments, action plans, your GHG inventories, as well as actions on renewable energy, energy efficiency, etc. And that's all spelled out in a lot of different materials that we are finalizing, guidance documents, so that you can read through those as you're doing your actual reporting. So it's not just about this webinar. We'll have a lot of training materials. We're working a lot with partners, ICLE and others, to help cities to do this data reporting. Again, crucial to remember that now you will do your reporting. If you've been in the City Challenge before, Now all data reporting, including for ICLEI cities, I believe is on the CDP cities platform. This is a huge step forward for all cities, and I think eventually will lead to a lot stronger reporting and more coherent reporting between the different platforms, as well as support for your city. If you want to learn more about this process, stay tuned. We will have an upcoming webinar on that, so I'm not going to go into all the details here, but this will be walked through with you, not only from WWF's side, but also the key networks that we're working with, so meaning ICLEI, CDP, etc. So in order to report for the OPCC, all you have to do is click a little box, a little check mark, and on the CDP data reporting platform and say, yes, I want to share my data with WWF for the One Planet City Challenge. So that's all it is. You go onto the CDP platform, which opens in about a month, and then there you will click on it and you will get to the questions that are important for the One Planet City Challenge, as well as the Global Covenant of Mayors. And before that time, we will have several guiding documents to support you in the process. Maybe one last thing to add there is that I know not everyone in this call is a native English speaker, and these different platforms and some of these tools that WWF will be offering will be offered in other languages as well. I know that Spanish is an important language for many of the offices that we've worked with in many of the countries, but other languages most certainly as well. So you are welcome to reach out to your national office in your native language, and we will work with you to try to facilitate the reporting process as well.
Great, Jenny. Thank you very much. I think honestly you have done a marvelous work explaining us all the important and relevant aspects of the OPCC of this the 2019-2020 cycle. I think by now we have a good picture of what it is, why important, how to participate, what's registration. And I think we are very close to the end of this webinar. Nonetheless, I think the job is not done. Now it's a moment for participants to raise some questions. But I think we're good if we open space now to read some of the questions that have been submitted to the chat box and see what are the comments our colleagues have. And maybe you can help me reading some of them, Jenny. I will start, let me see. I'm scrolling right now. I think we have a question on, there you go. So I'm going to read it just the way it is on the chat box. Cities will have to do the research themselves about what their fair share of emissions is for 1.5 degree scenario, as this will be done by the consultant during the pre-screening phase. So the question is basically, who's going to be doing that alignment on 1.5? Maybe you can give us some ideas, Jenny?
Sure, I'm going to just briefly introduce that idea, and then I think Tabaré, you've been so involved in that process to really work on fair share. So it would be great if you step in there too. But yes, this is not something that cities will have to do themselves. Cities just have to do the data reporting on the CDP platform, and thereafter that will be assessed by a framework that has already been developed and approved with WWF and the consultant, ARUP, that we worked with, as well as an external advisory committee, including members of key city networks, etc. And in terms of the fair share aspect of the emissions, maybe I can just pass actually that over to you, Tabaré, to answer that one, since you've been most involved there.
Yeah, definitely. So for the 1.5 alignment, as Jenny said, there will be an external consultant. We have developed a methodology. And the idea of the alignment is basically to establish a benchmark on 1.5 that cities can compare with. All the information is being produced. You have access to the full methodology to see how this is done, what are the parameters that are considered, how we embed equity related considerations, just to make a fair approach to assessing and acknowledge the different capacities and structural capabilities of cities in terms of aligning to 1.5. All that information will be available for participants. As Jenny said, we have an external consultant that is helping us doing that benchmark. So the cities, what they need to submit is to fulfill the information data requirements on CDP platform. Particularly, the more information that is given, the better we can do that assessment. So that includes GHG inventories, which leads me to a question that is I see in the chat box. If cities do not have a GHG inventory, can they participate, Jenny?
Yes, they can definitely still participate. In some cases, I know in the past we have actually worked with cities to support them. I mean, when I say we, I mean we and partners have worked with cities to get their GHG inventories in alignment. If they don't have the GHG inventory, they can still join the city challenge, and they can still start the process, start the journey with us. I think that is relatively important to get the full alignment criteria in terms of the 1.5 alignment, but it doesn't mean that you can't join the One Planet City Challenge and start that data reporting process. This time, I mean, we do this challenge every 2 years, and we're looking at the need for long-term data reporting as well. So whether or not you have it now or you want to develop it, I think this is a conversation that we can have also offline with you. So definitely remember our email address and reach out to us so that we can support you. Or when I say we, again, we and our partners that we're working with at the national level. And I know we have had some cases where cities have gotten up to the shortlisted phase, so up to 3 cities per country, in order to continue the journey with us on the journey of climate action. The more data you have, including the inventory, the better and closer you are likely to be the final national winner or even the global winner. But we do know that there is a burden for cities to do a lot of data reporting. So, we say start here, and we have sort of found the basic criteria of what is required for data reporting. And then if you have more data, more interest, the more you report, the more benefit eventually for you. Certainly it does take some time. We are honest, we know about this, and this is why we've also worked with alignment in the different platforms and also the criteria. But the more you report, you also have access to your own data. And what we've seen is some cities have started to realize, we talked earlier about the importance of really finding what is the key sector in your city in terms of reducing your mitigation impact. Sometimes cities don't know that until they start the data process of reporting, and then they realize, wow, my city could really reduce emissions in transportation or in energy or in waste management. Or we have also seen cities that have found alignment between the different sectors as well. So again, the more you report, the more benefit that comes to your city afterwards. And if you need support in that, we do what we can to try to handhold cities along the process. And I'm going to pass over to you, Tabaret, and I'm going to put myself on mute because there's a huge fire truck going by, but please take me off mute if you need me again.
Thanks, Jenny. So I have a question here or a comment. So basically it's a request for sharing this PPT. Yes, you will have access to this PPT as well as the recording of this session. So if you did not register previously to this webinar, you might not receive it automatically. So please just drop us an email to opcc.wwf.se, and we'll be glad to share you the recording as well as the PPT. So I hope that answers your question. Let me see. I think we have quite some interesting additional questions. So let me read this one. I hope I didn't read it before. So Jenny, there's this question. Is data, submission of data, limited to governmental data or private sector as well? So basically it asks us if the submission for participating cities needs to be exclusively governmental or also includes private sector data. I think you're muted, Jenny. Let me just read. Now you should be able
Excellent.
to.
Yes, thank you. I believe that there is a whole host of different pieces, and I think we will have follow-up webinars with ICLEI and CDP who can, give you answers to everything that a city can report. For the One Planet City Challenge purposes, we're focusing on primarily data that governments have access to, and this is because they are our target group, the local governments. And we want to, limit the requirements to not have everything have to be reported all at once. But there's definitely questions in the existing platform in terms of how local governments work with stakeholders, and certainly businesses, local businesses are very important. Also local NGOs, local advocacy groups, etc. So this question, I think, is a very, very useful one, but let's take it in the upcoming webinars when we have our wonderful partners to dig a little bit deeper into those questions as they have been developed. And those are questions that, again, our WWF is a part of, but it's a much larger group of organizations that are working with what kind of questions should cities be asked at the global level, at the regional level, et cetera, in order to get that right data assessment there.
Fantastic. Here another very good question. I think this is the question of the 100 million pesos. Sorry for that, pesos, I'm Mexican. And the question is, if cities that have previously reported on the carbon registry, will their data be able to be pulled into the new merged CDP automatically? I think this is a very good question to cover now, although we will go into details, I understood, from a webinar that we will have in a couple of weeks. But maybe, Jenny, you can give us some ideas about this process. Will this merge platform allow us to pull some data from the previous carbon registry?
Sure. And I think this is an extremely good question, especially for cities that have previously reported to the Carbon Climate Registry or the CCR for the One Planet City Challenge or the OPCC. I think this is in process. This is an ongoing discussion between especially ICLEI and CDP. I believe that this should be possible, but I think that the technicalities are being finalized as we speak, so I don't want to speak on behalf of those other organizations, but I know that this has been something that has been raised by the cities that we work with, and also by the WWF offices. So I think given that there is a lot of interest on this, I believe that they are working to support that the data can go from the CCR directly into the CDP. Of course, no two platforms are exactly the same. So while some questions will be able to go over either automatically or with a little bit of work in terms of plugging the data in, I think the automatic version is preferred, but I don't want to speak without knowing the technicalities behind that, and I think that is still being finalized. But there will be a few new questions, not necessarily many, but there will be some. So it's not just a automatic process and then resend. We still recommend to cities to go through that data reporting process, but for sure, this has been something WWF's been involved in, but even more so the city networks and partners we work with this has been a process that has been ongoing for a little over a year to merge these platforms. And of course, it's a challenge, but they've done a fantastic job, and we're really looking forward to seeing how this launches in early April to make city data reporting a lot easier for cities eventually. A few questions, certainly. I would be not truthful if I said there weren't questions, but many of those questions have already been asked of our partners. So our interest right now is to make this as easy as possible for the cities to do data reporting. And that's our collective interest, WWF and partners.
Great. We have another very, very interesting question, and I'm going to read it. What kind of data will need to be reported? The person kindly advised us that is new in this webinar and is new on the One Planet City Challenge. So I take the opportunity to welcome you to this new edition. It's fantastic that you're in the webinars. And to be honest, this is the first time we launch a series of webinars, a curricula of knowledge on OPCC and how cities can do. So please remain tuned for the next webinars. We have a couple of them coming over the next weeks. But back to you, Jenny. So what kind of data? Can you give us a first glance, a general high-level comment on what the sort of data that cities usually report to this platform and that will be assessed under OPCC?
Sure. I mean, I think that the key question is that we've already discussed is the GHG inventories. Those are extremely useful, but they're not the only things. It's also about the climate action plans that your city will have, efforts that it's done on, for example, energy efficiency or renewable related topics, how you work with stakeholders, etc. But I think that the key thing there is that we will have several guiding documents that are either nearly finished or will be available in the next week or so, and that will allow you to sort of read through those guiding documents as you're actually going through the reporting sheets. So not every question has to be reported on. Of course, the more the better, most certainly. But we've tried to really focus in on the inventories, the action plans, and actions related to energy efficiency, etc. I don't know if Tabata, you want to maybe add in on that question in particular?
I think we're fine. We're almost reaching the time to close this webinar. But before I would like to, I think we have a new question. Just let me go. Thanks all of you for sending questions to the chat box. If you have any other, please do now. I think we still have, let me just check. We have 3 more minutes to answer questions before we jump to the closure of this webinar. So it says, if there will be a briefing on the new platform, and that would be, if I understand, so might be, yeah, okay. So, and maybe I can take the opportunity to answer to this one in order to move to the next session. Indeed, yes, we will have a briefing on this, and that's basically the webinar number 3, right? Jennifer, you mentioned before. There will be a full webinar dedicated to the process of reporting, to how to use the platform, and what's new with this merge approach. For that webinar, we will be collaborating with the owners of this fantastic exercise. That's ICLEI and CDP, which I think is worth highlighting the terrific effort they have been doing on this. I think, Jenny, you said it before, and we appreciate that. I don't know for how long they have been partners of the One Planet, the OPCC, the One Planet City Challenge, but without a doubt, without ICLEI and CDP, this new 2019-2020 cycle will not be possible. So thanks very much. And yes, we will have as I said, there will be a webinar in this. People will basically learn how to use this new platform, as well as there will be materials, as I heard from your response, right, Jenny?
Yes.
Materials about this. Correct?
Certainly, yes. So I mean, I think you said something that was very important there. Since we started the One Planet City Challenge journey back in 2011, we didn't want to create a new data platform for cities to do cities for, just for our friendly competition, our award of the City Challenge. We thought, let's use this as an incentive to help push cities to an existing data reporting platform. And for the last years, that has been the ICLEI Carbon Climate Registry. And for very good reasons, and we were very excited about this, ICLEI and the CDP platform, the CDP platform have decided to merge, and this is a very good thing for cities. There'll be one main data repository, and that's also very much connected to ongoing discussions with the global covenant of mayors. Now, not all of this is necessarily relevant to your city. Some of it probably is, but I think that the key point here is that it's become easier for cities, that data is being centralized, that data that you report will help us to show you how close you are with this 1.5 degree alignment. Why that's important is coming up in coming webinars, as Tabare has mentioned, and we really want to enter a journey with you, not only in the data reporting process, but the guidance into why this is important and how it is important. And for that, I think Tabare is the right person to share with you the next steps of where we're going forward on this.
Thanks very much, Jenny. So I think we're reaching the end of this webinar. First, I really need to say, Jenny, you have done extraordinary work in answering all these questions. And thanks to all participants that have attended very carefully to listening to us, to all these answers. And let me say just briefly that I'm sure many other questions will arise. So everyone is really invited to submit additional questions through our local offices, WWF offices, or to the core team in Sweden at OPCC.WWF.se. Any question that you have on the general aspects of OPCC or the details of the key features of 2019-2020 cycle, as well as our We Love Cities campaign, etc., please just reach us. And well, Jenny, I think this is important to highlight. I think we have said it a couple of times. This is the first time we do an effort of providing a series of webinars detailing different aspects of this One Planet City challenge. The challenge that, as we said, transform local action into global climate leadership. And for this purpose, our idea is that we build up the different steps towards a full understanding of how 1.5 or Paris Agreement and most ambitious objective can really be embedded into day-to-day cities' life. So for that, I think it's worth to invite participants to the next webinar. The next webinar is scheduled for April 9 at 11 EST, which is the Eastern Coast US time. You would probably reckon why so late, because in this series of webinars, we try to reach different time zones, and hopefully we can, with this time zone, we will be more friendly with our colleagues in Asia that probably are right now taking a webinar very late. So for those that stay here, very much appreciated you remain. This will be a master class, and the idea of this master class is to uncover the science of 1.5 in connection to cities and the One Planet City Challenge. And let me read a bit of the description and remember you that the OPCC assesses the gap between cities' current emissions and the safe range to limit global warming to 1.5 Celsius degrees. So the OPCC advise on high impact reduction actions, and therefore we think this webinar will be very useful for you. It will be a great opportunity to learn more on 1.5, learn more on how you can embed it into your city worldview, to say, and how the OPCC can help you doing this. Finally, I think, Jenny, you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to say, I see that in the chat box we have several comments in Spanish, and I know that several of the time zones are, we have colleagues and cities joining from 30 different countries with many different languages. You're always welcome to reach out to us in your language as well. We might not all understand Thai or or Spanish or French or depending on what language you're writing in, but we will forward it to the right colleagues. So the main webinars that we will be doing will be done in English, but the idea also is that our colleagues across the network will take these same materials and share it in a language that is comfortable for you. So just to keep that in mind as well. This is about you, the cities. This is about you making the point of doing data reporting, and in the process, allow us to help you in the languages that we can. Especially given that we have national offices walking through the cities, knowing your culture, knowing your language, knowing the context. I think that's all I wanted to say, just to invite you to speak freely in your own languages. Over.
Thank you. Speak freely. This is an initiative that fosters transparency, and all your views in any language are more than welcome. let me just say that I'm coming back to the webinars. You can find more information at our website at www.panda.org. There you can find the whole calendar of the webinars, and you can also register yourself for the next session. So we're running, I think, 7 webinars, I don't recall at the moment, until July, with possibility to extend more depending on well, what's the interest from your side on learning the details of OPCC. So I think we have reached the end of this webinar. I need to thank you once again, Jennifer, the global lead of the One Planet City Challenge, for allowing us to learn more on this initiative and for really participating in this webinar. And of course, to all my colleagues, WWF colleagues, and members of the cities networks, as well as the general participation, public cities, and stakeholders in this process to be present in this webinar. We really hope that you have learnned something new, that you have solved many of your questions. If not, again, please send us an email. You can also do it through our social media channels. For instance, Twitter. You can follow us on WWF Cities at WWF Cities on Twitter, and you will find more information about our activities, our webinars, and the progress of this initiative. My name is Tabaré Arroyo Curras. I hosted you. I had the pleasure to host you. And I think I have the right to close this session. Again, thank you all. And this is it. So you may all go in peace. This webinar is over. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next session. Ciao.
Ciao. Hej då. Excellent.